Hey guys, welcome back. So we'll do another discussion on niacin here. I really like niacin, and I have talked about it so much, I'm going to talk about it even more today. One of my recent videos, I talked about B vitamins, mushrooms, and NSAIDs. It's wonderful to talk about these things. I like to thoroughly discuss all the health concerns, all the issues when it comes to especially B vitamins and niacin. And I'll tell you a little bit more about why I take such large amounts of niacin. And I would still highly suggest reading Abram Hoffer's book, Niacin, The Real Story. But anyways, let's talk about this list of things here. Okay, well, actually, time out. Maybe I need to drink some water first. Okay, let's talk about niacin. So we've had this comment here, and I appreciate this guy a lot, and I appreciate discussing health concerns, health issues, things like that on my channel. Always leave a comment. I would love to answer your questions. So mushrooms indeed fight tumors. Paul Stamets in his 2008 TED Talk talked about how his mother took, I think it was about 2 to 3 grams of turkey tail per day when she was battling breast cancer, and she did undergo traditional treatments as well. But Paul Stamets really believes that she completely pulled through on behalf of mainly the turkey tail mushroom. So yes, mushrooms have been proven and do demonstrate in a lot of different types of medicinal mushrooms to fight tumors. Turkey tail probably is one of the best. And no, it wasn't any comments on my video that really had my video get demonetized. I could probably, what's the name? There's a name for it. I could probably protest the thing, and there is little way that I could do that. And if nothing else, that could tell me for sure why I've gotten that video demonetized. But I'm pretty sure it's just because it said NSAIDs in the title, and then I didn't go on to say happy, warm, fuzzy feelings about NSAIDs. Instead, I said quite a bit of negative things, and YouTube has definitely come down on health channels. If you check out Dr. Darren Schmidt, he'd been talking about this since June or July of this past year. Mercola talked about it too, that they saw a 92% downturn, or maybe even 97% downturn on some of these health channels. And some people in the health YouTube space are actually leaving YouTube just because the algorithm has been completely spun against them. So anybody promoting natural health on YouTube is actually harder to find through the algorithm now, which is why I've said this before. I really need you guys' help to share, like, and subscribe to videos so that even the people who are subscribed to my channel can actually get the notifications. Because to some extent, even if people signed up for all the notifications and subscribe to my channel, YouTube is still censoring my videos and not sending it to everyone. And every single time that people get notifications, if they actually don't click on the video and watch the video, then they'll give out less notifications for my videos. So anyways, let's talk about some of these things in the comment here. Niacin, yes, it can cause nausea or vomiting, but that's the cool thing about it, is that's a sign that you've reached your maximum dose. And if you do get nauseated to the point of vomiting, then everything else immediately goes away. You feel great afterwards. You don't have any other symptoms, and it's just a real good sign. Okay, that was too much for me. I can't take that amount. And yeah, everybody's going to be different on that level. I'll talk about, why I personally take such large doses in a minute here. But anyways, and as far as the skin redness or the blotchiness, that's a normal reaction. That is not an allergic reaction. Everybody should have the skin redness, the blotchiness, and that's histamine. I'll talk about that more in a minute. We'll get into a lot of details about histamine and how it relates to flush. Little spoiler here, it literally does not. It's your, we'll talk about it later. I'll just get into it in a minute. Let's talk about these other things. Headache, dizziness, heart problems, increased blood sugar, worsened gallbladder function, low blood pressure, Stomach intestinal ulcers. Okay, so let's go back up here. We will talk about histamines in a minute. So first of all, I want to say this: niacin does not contain any histamines. There is no niacin on the market that contains histamine. So, and as far as the headaches and the dizziness, those can be signs of detoxification, in my opinion. I've not seen any links to anything else because of the powerful vasodilation. Yes, it is a vasodilator, as we've covered and talked about. Because of the powerful vasodilation, it can remove a lot of things out of your cells and tissues that shouldn't be there in the first place. One of the things that I've heard doctors talk about when in relation to niacin is that the histamine is a good thing. This is another one directly from another doctor, that if you burned your finger, you would immediately have a painful histamine response in that area, but that actually promotes the immune response in that area. That's like the histamine's like arrows and pointers for the rest of your body, and it says, here, right here, this is where you need to go. And then afterwards, it can release the prostaglandins, all those other immune factors to help heal that area. So histamine's not the bad guy that everybody thinks it is. Histamine's not bad. It's actually quite beneficial. Now, the problem is the allergic reactions to things that you're allergic to when you have way too much histamine response, and your body is not appropriately dealing with that histamine response by utilizing and vitalizing your immunoglobulins, all those other immune responses. Okay, so heart problems, potassium, magnesium, and minerals. If you're having heart problems from niacin, then it's probably a sign that you had low potassium, low magnesium, and low minerals in the first place. Because Abram Hoffer and several others, I believe, have actually proved that niacin is actually very beneficial for your heart health. It may be slightly different if you already have CHF, congestive heart failure, or any degree of that. That might be considerably different taking niacin during those situations. But irregular heartbeats, stuff like that, I think that's mainly a sign of low potassium, magnesium, and other trace minerals kind of deal. Your electrolytes, you need more of those. It's very interesting that women in general may live longer taking niacin simply because they're better at converting niacin naturally from their foods than men are. Women typically have a longer lifespan than men. And yes, there's many other factors involved. Increased blood sugar. So I think that may be related to if you had a cellular overload of blood sugars, because it's flushing it out of your body. I would love to hear more about that. I have never heard that from any other sources, but since it has that flushing effect, then I could believe that niacin could, in a low amount, as it's removing it, as it's helping to regulate these things, could impact blood sugars. And as far as worsened gallbladder function, since it actually improves blood flow throughout your body, what I think could happen, I would love to see more information if there's more information you guys have seen about worsened gallbladder function. But basically, if you've got gallstones and you stimulate blood flow, then yeah, you could be prematurely moving gallstones out of the gallbladder. And in that case, I've talked about this before, I've flushed tons of gallstones, and I didn't even ever previously have problems with my gallstones. And it's quite interesting that gallstones affect maybe 80 more percent of the population, but only a very small, maybe 5 to 10% of people ever have troubles with gallstones. Apple cider vinegar in water, or lemon juice in water, those, 1 to 2 tablespoons in 8 ounces or so, that can be a natural way to help stimulate gallbladder function in order to move those stones. Low blood pressure. I've never seen any results from niacin like that. And as far as stomach and intestinal ulcers, I would say that I have heard that the timed release niacins may actually damage your liver. So if it's a timed release niacin, then maybe you could be suffering from some of those things in your digestive system. So anyways, getting to why I personally take niacin, it's because my body naturally produces adrenaline in excessive amounts, more so than your average person. And therefore, I need to be taking adrenal support formulas pretty often, quite often, in order to get better sleep, more restful sleep, and actually just to get my butt out of bed. Very, very normal for me. And niacin is actually something that deactivates adrenaline. So that's very key in Dr. Abram Hoffer's book. And when I first started taking niacin, after I read the Niacin, the Real Story book, I started at 1,000 milligrams, and I was prepared for the flush, and it was quite intense. I turned red. I turned blotchy red. I remember taking pictures of myself being like, whoa. And I knew it wouldn't last any longer than an hour. Normally, most people will experience a flush from a half an hour to an hour, but I don't think it can ever last longer than that. I don't know. But it can be pretty scary. It's like a very rude trick to play on somebody if they don't know about niacin flush and you give them a niacin. It's extremely rude. It's like people freak out. I've had customers tell me, oh no, I can't take it because I'm allergic. And I don't think I have a coworker. Now I have worked with them for a short period of time, and they had carbon monoxide poisoning and had a lot of health issues. So they tried the niacin, and it seemed like it induced a panic attack from the way they described their reaction to the niacin. And yes, it probably is best to start out really low on niacin and slowly work your way up, which is what I normally suggest. However, if you're well educated and you know exactly what you're doing and you've read up on your niacin, you would probably be just fine doing what I did if you actually needed that amount. Mercola recently suggested in a YouTube video, I don't even know if it's recently, I saw it not too long ago is what I mean, and he suggested that the best benefits of niacin come from detoxification for the skin in general. And if you did infrared saunas for half an hour and then got out, took niacin, and he suggested for women 250 would be an optimal amount, 250 milligrams, and for men anywhere from 500 to 600 milligrams would be an optimal amount for just detox in general. So yes, I'm still on that higher end simply because Abram Hoffer said that he treated most people of many conditions, which ranged from anxiety, trouble sleeping, depression, all these different things, which is all in the book, with mainly vitamin C and niacin. Maybe there was a couple other things in his protocols, but mainly the book records it was mostly just niacin and vitamin C that he prescribed for everybody in Saskatchewan, Canada that he saw over his 40-year career. And he saw pretty much everybody recover from almost every issue. I was talking about how it can help with better blood flow. In iridology, the layer around the outside of your eye, which is where the white meets the pupil kind of deal, is called the scurf rim. And if you have a very thick scurf rim, I can show you a picture here. So depending on the thickness, the scurf rim can indicate how well your skin is detoxifying. So niacin and dry brushing, both of those things can really help stimulate your skin to flush and to get rid of toxins. Many other doctors, besides what I talked about, the timed release, many other doctors say there's literally no negative health effects from taking niacin. And I think all those other things listed are most likely more related to detoxification issues or other underlying issues that the niacin could unveil. Here's the deal. The niacin can actually really help to reduce overall inflammation. As I said earlier, histamine isn't the bad guy. It actually increases your immune response. The histamine also enhances your vasodilation. So it's the histamine that is naturally occurring in your body that can promote vasodilation. The flush promotes vasodilation, and the two of them together This is how I heard one doctor put it. Maybe this will make sense. It's like histamine can bring you to the edge, and the flush pushes it over the edge. So if you wanted to think about that in an inflammatory way, inflammation can actually be gauged throughout your body by your niacin reaction. If you have a huge niacin reaction and tons of flushing effect, then that's a sign your body has suffered from lots of inflammation. And as that niacin flush goes down, then you could directly gauge your inflammation level based on that. And it does go down. If you stick with niacin, the flush effect is going to greatly reduce time and time and time again as you keep taking it. And normally I do suggest people start with 50 milligrams, and after 1 week or 2 weeks, if the flushing effect is no longer really felt, then they could go up to 100. Yeah, I think they could really do whatever it is they desire when it comes to taking niacin. The bottom line is it's beneficial. I would be willing to look at any of the other information that's out there that may be related to some of these things listed in the comment. But in general, yeah, just take the niacin. And if you're having way too much of a histamine response, then taking the same amount of vitamin C, like if you took 50 milligrams of niacin, take 50 milligrams of vitamin C as well. That can reduce the histamine response. So you'll still get the flush effect. You'll still have the benefits of the flush, but you won't have the painful, hot, or pins and needles kind of feeling from niacin, from the histamine response. Keep leaving more comments. Let me know what you guys want to talk about. If there's supplements out there that you guys want to know about, let me know, because it seems a lot of the supplements that I have and I've been reviewing definitely are not doing as good as me just talking about these different health topics. So leave a comment and I will, let you know what I know about those topics, and I'll share the information whenever I can. And thanks so much, guys. Stay healthy.